Hi, everyone. David Rose here with USXP. Welcome to another edition of the Scaling Stateside podcast. Along with my co-founder and co-host, Matt Oxley, we are on a mission to help founders from the UK and Europe successfully scale in the United States. And as part of that, we're having discussions on the podcast with two principal parties that can really help founders understand that path. And one is founders who've already made the journey from Europe and successfully expanded into the US market. And the other is VCs who are funding US expansion for the portfolio companies. So we've been having these ongoing discussions. We're 10 episodes in. I'm really pleased with how things have gone. It's actually gone much better than we thought out of the gates. And Matt, I think we can say like the mission while we're doing it. I don't know if you want to comment on that just kind of briefly.
Yeah, so the core reason we created Scaling Stateside is to bridge the gap that we see between venture-backed European founders and their US expansion. What exists at the moment is not supporting them, not proactive, and doesn't really get them kind of off the ground. And that was a gap that I saw clearly coming back to the UK, having been on that journey myself. So that is the gap that we're filling. And Scaling Stateside to us was all about providing our network and entrepreneurs and founders with information, with context, with stories, so that therefore they can better go on their adventures and go on their journeys themselves. And that's what we've done over the last 10 episodes is interview founders, interview VCs, interview people kind of with knowledge in market, so that everybody's more informed. That was a very core concept of it, because that was the gap that we saw initially. So yeah, I'm really kind of happy with the success that we've seen. I quite honestly never thought that we'd get to 10 episodes and that would have the viewership that we do. But obviously we're certainly hitting a note with founders, and we're supporting the VCs in how they're doing this. So yeah, really excited by and proud of what we've done, but also what we've got next on our docket.
And Matt, for those who maybe weren't with us at the very beginning, can you just recap who the founders we've had on, just names and brands they may recognize?
Yeah, of course. Sorry, I'm going to look at a sheet here. So if it's weird that I look over there, just bear with me. Stephen Whitworth was Incident IO. We interviewed Stephen in November. We have Hussein, who's on Fido, but obviously Quench before that. Alex Packham, who's CEO of Jack, just raised a big round with Jack. And previously he sold his company Content Cal to Adobe for over 100 mil. So amazing founders in their own right, amazing stories that they've got, very differing experiences with the US and how those came about, but just three very successful entrepreneurs. It's obviously a very privilege to speak to and kind of ease out their stories.
Yeah, and I think almost everyone we talk to who wants to expand their business to the U.S., they almost all want to raise venture capital in the U.S., higher valuations, bigger brands, bigger reach, bigger round sizes. And as part of these discussions, we want to have also, in addition to founders be part of the podcast, have venture capital general partners who are funding U.S. expansion for their portfolio companies on. So you can hear directly from them kind of their views on the topic. And we've had some really great guests on. So we had Ali Mitchell from Odyssey Ventures. He was previously at EQT. Was in San Francisco running their office there. He's been a founder. He's been a VC in both the Valley and in London. So he has that great coastal or by-country experience, operator experience. So he's a great VC, gives a lot of great perspectives. We had Luke Pappas from NEA. Again, he started with NEA in US, and now he runs NEA's London office. We also had Maria Palmer from Odyssey Ventures. Again, she was a VC in London. She now is a VC in San Francisco and work focuses on deal flow across both continents. And so having that perspective of a VC who's been previous operators and also have been a VC in Europe and in the US really gives important insights into the US VC fundraising process, because a lot of the things we want to uncover, there's a lot of gaps in knowledge. So if you've never expanded to the US before, if you've never raised in the US before, it's fundamentally a different experience. And so we want to help our community better understand the topics, the pitfalls, the best practices. So hopefully set them up for success when they want to expand into the US market and they want to raise venture capital in the US market. So we're as Matt said, we're really pleased with how things got started over the first 10 episodes. And we're really excited. Matt's been working really hard on expanding the Scaling Stateside kind of mission and brand. And Matt, give us the update on what's next for Scaling Stateside.
Yeah, I think firstly, let's take a step back. I mean, what we attempted to deliver with the podcast was a different vehicle for having US expansion information come to market, and hear directly from the people that are involved. And I think that has just been fantastic. Just like hearing the highs, the lows, the stories, the yarns, that everything that is involved in it has been amazing. So I think what we realized, a couple of months ago was that we're onto something really good here, and I think we're serving the market in a way that they're really responding to. So the conversations that we were having with our ecosystem was very much right. What does the next level of this look like? So we've joined forces again with Wilson Sonsini, and what we're kind of really pleased to announce is that we're taking Scaling Stateside to be a true brand in itself. And what that means is we're going to create more of a platform for this. And in the platform, you're obviously going to have the podcast. What we're also going to be doing is we're going to be doing Scaling Stateside events. And these are going to be in the shape of three forms, really. One is workshops. And this is something that isn't typically done by organizations running events. But what we really feel is that we want to give entrepreneurs and CEOs an ability to work on their business in these workshops. Because, in many events, it's like you have somebody speaking at you. So what we want to do is we want it conversational, where you work away with experience, a artifact, something that is going to drive your business forward and that you're going to get value in. And David, maybe we can, at the end of this, speak to the event that we're running in April, because that's a really good example of this. We are also going to be doing our showcase events where we will get entrepreneurs and VCs up on a stage, and we've actually got one at London Tech Week that we're going to be doing and showcasing at the HSBC auditorium. And then we're going to be doing more kind of localized dinners. And this is invite-only individuals that are going to be coming together to really kind of talk about the US expansion journey. So those are the things that we're doing from an event standpoint. And the logic behind that is we want conversations, and we want to create kind of cohorts of people that are going through it. So A, we can learn from one another, and B, we can influence and help as and when. We're going to bring in experts into all of those. So we're supporting on the journey. The second thing that we're going to be launching on Monday, but it's great me saying Monday because you guys have no idea what date it is today, which is cool. So if we don't hit the Monday, it's fine.
It's the following Monday.
Following Monday is a US Readiness Assessment. And what you have the ability to do is put in your credentials into the website, the platform that's being created. And what you will get within 24 hours is a readiness assessment based on public information, based on your company, based on some of the information you give us, which will appraise your readiness to going to the US. And this is really powerful, a really deep report that should really help founders, whatever level you're at. Should really help founders understand, hey, am I ready? Should I be thinking about this journey? Should I be thinking about that chapter? So that's something that we're kind of really kind of proud to, again, have part of the platform. And it's constantly going to be growing, okay? Because we're going to be listening to people. We're going to be, understanding what people need. So we've really kind of lent in, and this is now a joint venture with Wilson Sonsini. So we're kind of really spearheading this with them. But we've been joined along the journey by two amazing partners as well, which is HSBC Innovation Bank and Frazier Deeter as well. So, and both of these organizations have been around the US expansion ecosystem for a long time, supporting them. And that's why we've chosen them to come on the journey with us. So again, it gives us more reach. It gives us kind of more emphasis, more exposure as well. So again, thinking about this as a real kind of brand moving forward, that's what we've done.
Matt, you've created a website where all these is kind of a home of all the content and the events and the readiness assessment. if you just share the URL so people listening, we'll put it in the show notes, but if you're listening and not reading, if you're driving, listening to the podcast, Matt, what is the URL so people can find it?
It's scaling-stateside.com.
Yeah, good looking site. We had this designer who was fantastic, create the whole thing named Matt.
Incredible, yeah. Vibe coding.
Vibe coding, yeah, in reality, in actual output. Well, talking about the first live event, we're really excited about this. And so the goal with the live events is to really give founders actionable, practical advice they really aren't going to get anywhere else. I think so much of the advice about coming to the U.S. or raising in the U.S. Comes in the form of a top 10 things PDF. Matt, you talk about that all the time. And we really want to make this high value. And so the first event we're going to have, and it's going to be at Wilson Sonsini's office in London on Tuesday, April 21st, is a US VC Fundraising Workshop. And so if you plan to raise venture capital as a European founder in 2026 or beyond, this is where you come to learn practical, actionable advice. We're not going to talk about 50,000 foot views or industry trends. We're going to give you the information you need to be practically successful in the near term in the US. And there are big differences between raising in Europe and raising in the US. And we want to shed a light on those type of things. And there's a lot of things that are mysteries. You've probably never seen a US VC term sheet before. You've probably never seen a US VC due diligence request. You've probably never seen a US VC ready pro forma financial model. All these things we're going to make available to the people in the workshop. Not only that, but you're also going to hear from subject matter experts on all these topics, whether it be term sheets, whether it be due diligence and pro forma models. You're here. And also, we're super excited. Ali Mitchell from Odyssey Ventures, we spoke about earlier. Again, he was a VC at EQT, and he was actually in the Silicon Valley. He's now back in London at Odyssey Ventures. He is going to be our featured guest speaker. So you're going to have a U.S. experienced VC in the room where he's going to share best practices and tips on how to raise venture capital from US VCs. And he's going to be available for Q&A. So if you have questions you want to know about your situation or your company or your experience from an experienced US VC, this is your chance to have that live and in person. So we're super excited about the event. You can register at the Scaling Stateside website. Again, it's scaling-stateside.com to come to the site. You can go there and apply to register. Again, the people we want to come to this are companies who are already in that process. They've already have some product market fit signals in their home country. They've raised some capital. They're ready to expand to the US. They're ready to raise in the US market. And those are the community members we want to help better understand all these processes. So we're really excited about this. And this is just the first event. We're going to have several throughout the year.
We're very kind of focused on US expansion, but also kind of obviously looking at the news wires about who's investing and where, and I'm certainly you're seeing what I'm seeing, which is a huge volume of US VCs actually investing in local European organizations. I mean, are you seeing the same?
It's incredible. Matt, I'm a geek about looking at US deal flow out of Crunchbase, and it's insane. Like I've never seen deal flow like this out of Europe. And so US VCs are super active all over Europe, writing really big checks. And a lot of companies or a lot of founders may not be aware, but there are currently 60 US VC firms with an office in London actively looking for European deal flow. And so if you're a European founder and you want to raise from those brands, which is, let's face it, are top in the world, the Sequoias and Andreessen Horowitzes of the world, you really need to prepare yourself. You need to come into that knowing what they're expecting to hear, knowing how to pitch them, knowing the outcomes they're looking for. These are all very different what you're probably used to raising locally. So again, our goal is to help you as a founder be prepared. And so if you get the opportunity to pitch in one of these US VCs whose names you probably all know really well, we want to make sure you're prepared and ready to be successful in that journey. And that's why we're really doing the podcast. We're talking to founders who've already raised, and of course talking to US VCs to help you understand all those pieces and parts. And we think this is a really great first step to help founders be prepared.
Yeah, so I think in conclusion, we're just really excited by what we're building with the flat platform. I think we've been overwhelmed with the success and I think the uptake on the podcast on creating what one might call a normal narrative about this and informing entrepreneurs and founders that are in the trenches with this kind of quandary at the moment. So Yeah, we're really excited. Would love kind of thoughts, comments, I think suggestions about, direction, guests, topics that we should cover. But I think what we're going to be doing is 10 episodes is the end of season 1. We're now looking to season 2. So we've got some great guests kind of lined up, and yeah, really excited by kind of just continuing the conversation. And as you mentioned with the market, I think this is only going to get more eyeballs. I think it's only going to get more kind of interesting, and I think it's only going to get more important for European venture-backed, organizations as they kind of come up for air. So, yeah, really excited. Really excited.
Yeah. And if you're a founder in London and you're going to be in London on Tuesday, April 21st, go to the Scaling Stateside website and sign up for the event or apply for the event. It's not for everyone, but go do that today because the seats are limited, and we'd love to have you be part of the community. Thanks, everyone.